10 worst fish you shouldn't eat. Number 10. Orange Ruffy. Orange Ruffy might sound fancy on a restaurant menu, but don't let the name fool you. This deep-sea fish lives a very long life, up to 150 years. That long lifespan means it's had plenty of time to absorb mercury from the ocean. In fact, orange Ruffy often ranks as one of the fish with the highest mercury levels. High mercury intake has been linked to damage in the nervous system, developmental delays in children, and an increased risk of heart disease. Not only that, but orange Ruffy is also heavily overfished. Because it matures so slowly, it's vulnerable to population collapse. That makes it a poor choice for both your health and the planet. If you're craving a whitefish, try wild-caught Pacific cod or haddock instead. Number 9. Shark. Yes, some people eat shark, and no, it's not a good idea. Like orange Ruffy, sharks are top-of-the-food chain predators. That means they eat smaller fish, which eat even smaller fish, and so on. Over time, sharks accumulate huge amounts of mercury and other toxins like PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. These toxins are harmful to your brain, nervous system, and heart. Pregnant women and children are especially vulnerable. On top of that, shark populations are under extreme pressure. Many species are endangered due to overfishing, and some are even killed just for their fins. Bottom line, skip the shark. If you're looking for a firm, meaty fish, try swordfish's cousin, Opa, moonfish, but always double-check its mercury levels. Number 8. King mackerel. Mackerel sounds like a healthy choice, and it often is, but not all mackerel are equal. King mackerel, especially those caught in the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic, contain dangerously high levels of mercury. The FDA specifically advises children and pregnant women to avoid king mackerel entirely. But even for the rest of us, regular consumption can pose serious risks to heart and brain health. If you love the flavour and texture of mackerel, go for Atlantic or Pacific mackerel instead. They're smaller, lower in mercury, and packed with omega-3s. As always, variety matters. Don't rely on just one type of fish. Number 7. Tilefish. Tilefish from the Gulf of Mexico is another high mercury offender that makes most do-not-eat lists. Some samples have tested with mercury levels so high they exceed the FDA's limit by a wide margin. Eating too much tilefish can increase your risk of mercury poisoning. Symptoms include muscle weakness, vision problems, and numbness in the hands and feet. Interestingly, tilefish from the Atlantic Ocean has much lower mercury levels and is considered safer. But unless you're checking sourcing labels carefully, it's easy to get the wrong kind. That's why it's often better to skip tilefish altogether. Safer alternatives include wild-caught salmon and rainbow trout. Both are rich in heart-healthy omega-3s, lower in mercury, and more sustainably sourced, making them a smarter choice for your plate and your health. Number 6. Farmed Atlantic salmon. This one might surprise you. Salmon is usually considered a heart-healthy superstar, but farmed Atlantic salmon, especially the kind raised in crowded pens, can be loaded with problems. Studies have found that farmed salmon often contains high levels of contaminants like dioxins, PCBs, and even pesticides. These pollutants build up in your body over time and are linked to cancer and other chronic illnesses. Farmed salmon is also high in omega-6 fats, which promote inflammation when eaten in excess. And the feed given to these fish often includes antibiotics, dyes, and other additives. It's not the clean, lean protein most people expect. If you are going to eat salmon, look for wild-caught Alaskan salmon instead. It's cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable. Number 5. Imported catfish. Catfish is a popular, affordable option, but beware of where it's from. Much of the imported catfish in US supermarkets comes from Vietnam or China, where aquaculture standards may be poorly regulated. These fish are often raised in crowded ponds and fed antibiotics that are banned in the United States. Some studies have found traces of banned chemicals and pesticides in imported catfish. For example, research on farmed catfish from the Mekong Delta in Vietnam detected persistent pollutants, including DDTs, PCBs, and PBDs in both the fish and their feed. In addition, another screening found residues of antibiotics like enrofloxacin and malachite green, banned in many countries, in Vietnamese catfish samples. Long-term exposure to these chemicals can harm your liver kidneys, and immune system. If you enjoy catfish, go for US farmed varieties. American farms are more tightly regulated, with stricter oversight on antibiotic and contaminant use, making them a cleaner, safer choice. Number 4. Swordfish. Swordfish is another big predatory fish that accumulates mercury in large amounts. It has a firm texture and mild flavour, which makes it a restaurant favourite. But just one serving can push you over the recommended weekly mercury limit. The FDA specifically warns children and pregnant women to avoid swordfish entirely. High mercury intake increases your risk of heart problems, especially in older adults. It also affects memory, focus, and coordination. Instead of swordfish, consider grilling tuna steaks from light tuna or mahi-mahi, both of which offer similar textures without the same level of concern. Number 3. Eel, or unagi in Japanese. Eel, especially freshwater varieties like the kind served in sushi, tends to be high in both mercury and industrial pollutants. Because eels are long-lived and feed near the bottom of rivers and oceans, they absorb more toxins than many other fish. Freshwater eel populations are also severely depleted in many parts of the world, including the US, Europe, and Japan. Their farming practices aren't always clean either. Some involve unregulated antibiotics or crowded environments. If you love sushi, opt for salmon or tamago instead. Number 2. Bluefin tuna. Bluefin tuna is considered a delicacy in sushi restaurants, but it's one of the worst choices when it comes to health and sustainability. Bluefin is extremely high in mercury, and because it's been so heavily overfished, it's now critically endangered. Despite this, it's still served in high-end restaurants. Eating bluefin tuna may increase your exposure to mercury and support an industry that's damaging marine ecosystems. If you love tuna, opt for skipjack or canned light tuna. They're smaller, reproduce faster, and contain far less mercury. And at number 1, escala, aka butterfish. It's marketed as butterfish or even white tuna in some sushi restaurants, but escala has a dark secret. This oily fish contains a natural wax ester called toxin, which your body can't digest. Even a small serving can cause stomach cramps, oily diarrhea, and other unpleasant symptoms. While escala isn't technically toxic, it's considered unsafe by many countries, and some have banned its sale entirely. The FDA still allows it in the US, but it's rarely labelled correctly. To be safe, avoid any butterfish or white tuna that doesn't list the species. Escala might look buttery and rich, but it's not worth the digestive trouble. And there you have it, 10 worst fish you shouldn't eat. Fish can be incredibly good for your health when you choose wisely. Avoiding these 10 types can reduce your exposure to harmful contaminants, support sustainable fishing practices, and protect your heart and brain in the long run. When in doubt, opt for smaller fish like sardines, anchovies, and herring, wild-caught salmon, US-farmed catfish, or trout. These offer the benefits of seafood without the hidden risks. Which of these fish surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and if this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss our next health breakdown. And if you want to go the extra mile, tap the super thanks button to support our channel, or check out our merch store linked below for wellness-inspired gear we think you'll love. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one.